The opening session is over with. The technical session of the Capital Market Forum commences with focus on the challenges, implications and opportunities for the capital market.
Bias for fiscal accountability, probity, human capacity development and selfless service.
Mr. Ashade is the lead speaker.
We're looking at, currently we are encountered by some macro challenges, and I'll quickly go through them. One is about the reforms. No doubt there have been several reforms that is targeted towards the growth of the capital market, so that the capital market will be able to play its expected role, the pivotal role in the economic growth and development. However, the absence of and the implementation of some of these reforms is still, to a very large extent, affecting the market. One of it is the PIB bill. We are all party to a lot of years that this has been severally discussed, but up till now, it's yet to be passed into law. And it's quite very important. Also, some non-oil reforms, even though on the part of government is taking some action. But the question is, it is not only taking action. We have the intervention fund that came up by the government in the agricultural sector. But to a very large extent, what we're saying is that to what extent will this impact on the Nigerian capital market? As the reform is being done and the government is looking at non-oil export, we must look at how to integrate this into the Nigerian capital market to ensure that the market benefits from it. Also, in terms of policy, absence of deliberate policies to target power, telecom, and government entities. It has been discussed at several fora that the need for government to be proactive in terms of their activities and action. You know what is happening in the power sector, the telecom, and even government entities. They are listed companies that by today, Nigerians or the capital market will have expected that they should be on the list of the listed companies. But up to today, there has been one issue, a lot of politics is being played in that space. So to a very large extent, the need for some pragmatic policies that will be targeted towards making all the companies that falls within this bid to come to Nigerian capital market will, to a very large extent, help the market. Again, we look at operating environment. Weak business and consumer confidence remains a concern. The security and social climate too are quite very key, from the Boko Haram to IPOB and the escalation of asthma crisis. You know, security is a serious concern for investors. They will not take it light at all. It's very, very important. It's a major issue that is still affecting our capital market. Also, polity and the system inefficiency, political uncertainty, weak democratic structure, and uphold the investor confidence is very key. These are macro challenges that are still, that is to a very large extent, still affecting the contribution of the Nigerian capital market to the growth and development.
A panel discussion dissects the subject matter.
It is true that there is a big opportunity to grow the total market cap and improve the ratio, the market cap to GDP ratio. In fact, we're a little bit more aggressive when we started in 2011. I think we put out a $1 trillion number. The truth of the matter is that if you look at the Nigerian economy and you look at GDP numbers, the capital market and specifically the equity markets can do a lot more to be representative, but the conditions need to be right. The exchange cannot do it all, but the exchange has done a lot of things, and I probably can spend 2 hours talking about what the exchange has done to improve that ratio. The first thing is to take a very macro perspective, engage with policymakers, engage with lawmakers, and engage with other key stakeholders like our regulators to see if we can all work together to create an environment that supports companies coming to the market to list and that supports investors participating in the market. So that's the first thing that we've done. But if you were to look at trading fees and listing fees, the exchange was a leader in trying to galvanize the industry to be more competitive from a pricing perspective. We started that effort in 2014, I believe, when we commissioned a transaction cost analysis study that was done. Clearly, if the exchange by itself were to go to zero, it will not affect our competitiveness because the exchange accounts for only 10% of the cost of doing a trade. So getting the entire industry to work together to be more competitive in pricing is something that we pushed very hard, and I'm very happy that the regulator took it up and worked with it. I think our pricing today is a lot better. I'm talking about the industry now. It's a lot better with some of the regulations that came out late last year with regards to issuance fees and things like that. So that addresses pricing.
So far, the capital market has about 5 million investors from a country of over 180 million people. This is according to the CEO of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Oscar Onyema. He believes the numbers can increase through policies and strategies of the NSE.
When you gather like this and you bring experts together, new ideas can come out, and we can come up with new ways of doing things. So, we live in a very dynamic world, and so driving innovation is something that must be encouraged. And so you can have innovative ideas coming out from these types of discussion. The Nigerian economy will benefit when you have a larger segment of the population participating in the capital market. The capital market is really a platform or a mechanism by which we're able to channel investments to the most needing sectors of the economy to improve efficiencies in the economy and drive economic growth. So people shouldn't look at it that they're helping the capital market. They should look at it that they're helping the Nigerian economy, and by doing that, helping themselves. Because at the end of the day, what we try to do is to help people create durable wealth.
This time, speaking in her capacity as the DG Debt Management Office, Mrs. Patience Oneha calls for a mutual collaboration between the government and the private sector to drive the talks from the forum and cause a major positive shift in the capital market. She speaks alongside others.
The financial market is a source of capital for investments, and the government is pursuing a growth and a development policy. And that would not happen all by the government itself. So government is not going to make all the investments, but is actively encouraging the private sector through various incentives. Okay, now the private sector would need capital to be able to benefit from those incentives, invest in infrastructure, in projects that will lead to growth and development. So that is the challenge I would like to leave with all the stakeholders in the capital market, that it must work for the economy, must support the growth of government. As you know, apart from the various incentives and policies that the government has put in place, the Debt Management Office too has done a lot to provide, as it were, a platform, a basis for the capital market in terms of fixed income securities. So there's a sovereign yield curve, there's liquidity, there's transparency, there's price discovery. So on the back of that, really, we expect to see increased activity in the private sector. So be looking to private investors in Nigeria, or even foreign investors, who want to invest in agriculture, for instance, or PPP activities with government, be able to issue long-tenured bonds, be able to issue other securities. They should be able to raise equity, for instance, if they need equity, whatever it is.
Well, I think that if you're trying to talk about this in particular reference and respect to the capital market, I think that the capital market has grown quite hugely in terms of the volume, in terms of the quantity, and at some point even the quality of investments. I think that more and more people have had to buy in because they have looked at that and appreciated the capital market as a market for long-term funds instead of the short-term funds that come with a lot of adverse implications for the investor. And I think, for example, that if you look at our country post-recession, I think that the capital market also played quite a critical role in terms of that exit from recession. And I think that it holds the key in terms of even our future and further economic growth and development.
The growth in the economy vis-a-vis the expectation of the capital market, there is still a huge gap. As you will see in my presentation, when you look at the impact of Nigerian capital market in line with the growth and development in the country compared to our peers in the emerging market. We still have a headroom of over 200 billion of funds that could still be sourced to support the growth. We talk about infrastructural development and the key issues around what are we doing in terms of the capital market contribution to ensure that. We all know, as far as the capital market is concerned, and the pivotal role that capital market play in ensuring growth and development in any economy. So when we're talking about growth and development in economy, vis-a-vis the capital market, it's very key for us to really be able to see to what extent are we doing now. So largely, we are not doing as much, but there is always room for improvement.